net starting tier is fine. Edane having cleanse is fine. First strike victor is normal.
This
yeah,
has
all
always
of this.
been like this, by the way.
Okay. That's cool. Like every time you guys have spec'd?
Yep.
Very nice. And I assume they wanted the delay because reasons.
So they wanted what?
I assume the delay was wanted because reasons.
They have the tournament rules. 5-minute delay.
Oh, 5 minute. Okay, that's fine. I have no complaints there. As long as it's not like somebody else being stinky.
And then we got. And then Control Shift Z.
Yeah.
No, or is it Control Alt Z? You can zoom out further.
Yeah, it's
Okay.
Control
Oh,
Shift
yeah,
Z.
okay,
That's
cool.
what I've been doing every time.
Okay, cool, cool. I'm just making sure you knew. 30 seconds.
Mm-hmm. Remind me on Wednesday I need to talk to you in Herodo.
What?
Remind me on Wednesday I need to talk to you in Herodo.
Okay. Oh, can you
I'll
tap?
probably. Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah.
There we go.
Okay. All right, everybody. Welcome back. Sorry about that. We had a little bit of technical issues with Streamlabs crashing by the way. So that was really cool. But either way, we already have a few kills going over to NAU's side. Piccolo and Twig in the bot lane got first blood onto Kaisa and Morgana as Twig managed to get that early level 2 with the help of that Relic Shield. Got the Zenith Blade off, got a really nice stun to follow up, dropped the Ignite, and Piccolo really just had to follow up there. We also did just see a top lane dive from Funbari Unsen and Kama Bird, getting out super, super clean. Funbari Unsen picking up that kill, starting to put that Nasus behind early, and already getting that gold deficit working. NAU is going to be up about 1,000 gold at the moment, nothing too huge, but it's going to be a very comfortable early start.
Yeah, no, just a nice 2 kills right off the bat is what you really like to see. A lot of a lot of aggression being played from NAU. They're just trying to capitalize on their lead. They're trying to get the nice CS leads, just whatever goal that they possibly can. It's just the early game is just so important to get ahead so you can start to snowball. But 50 Rai guy here is showing a Kama Bird what it's all about with that Wither and just gonna smack him around. But unfortunately, Net does not have the ultimate to actually throw some rockets out, and is not able to pick up Jackie, but is going to probably have to cause him to back here.
Possible gank going in from the bot lane as Twig burns the flash. Cleanse and Black Shield are used on the Kaisa, so it's going to be a free Morgana kill. At least it should be. NAU picking up another one. Funbari Onsen still at full HP. Might want to look for a dive, but they do have to be careful as King of the Hwaji is going to be very close by, and Funbari Onsen may get caught out here, immediately taking about half his health in damage, down to about 25% after the initial burst, and getting out. Viego forcing the flash. No stun coming through from Twig, and the volley missing from Piccolo. It should be a safe-ish out for NAU. I don't see anyone being in mortal danger here, but a very close play, as Funbari Onsen does have Ghost instead of Flash, and using that earlier in the top dive means that he was not going to be able to get that one out, as well as taking some poke from the Kaisa Void Seeker. Bit of a dampener in the plans when you have to get a reset in, especially now that a free first dragon of the game is going to be given over to Southern Utah in that Infernal Dragon. Not going to be game-winning or ending, but it is going to be a good start to those cross-map objectives.
Yeah, no, the King of the Hwaji actually sitting in that bush next to the Krugs, catching up from Onsen there, almost actually killing. Unfortunately, not enough damage from Kaisa was able to even come out, but they were able to, Rest NAU was able to be close enough to actually body block and get, and they were able to dodge enough of the stuns from King of Hwaji there to actually get out. But I mean, overall, just they were able to pick up the Morgana and able to escape with their lives. So it was an overall just a nice up for NAU, just another 500-600 gold there, just up ahead.
Speaking of 500-600 gold, they're looking to extend the lead. Ignite being dropped once again from Twig as Jackie drops the ultimate, and the Ignite is ticking, but Jackie lives with a sliver of HP. Funbari Onsen not quite able to pick up that one, and NAU really trying to push their lead as safely as I think they can. Not not necessarily safely. I'd actually like to retract that statement. I would say reasonably. They're not going for overly greedy plays, and they're making sure that they have, sufficient comms, it would seem, as well as, good enough timing to make sure they can make these plays work, because Corki was also not in the mid lane. That was a play devised entirely by Twig and Funbari Onsen.
Yeah, I know with having their teammates be able to back up your lane and be able to even take out your laner while you're not even there. It's a lot of really good teamwork and be able to catch the lanes for each other and ruin each other's lane states. But
speaking of ruining lane states, it's King of the Hwaji getting invaded and slain in his own jungle. Jackie forced to back out underneath the tower, trying to get a stun off onto Corki, but the Valkyrie will make a nice getaway. NAU finding themselves 4-0 in kills up against the Thunderbirds. Funbari Onsen sitting in a very, very luxurious 2-0-1. I'm sure we'll see that first item completion basically as soon as the invade finishes here. At least, if not, I would hope for tier 2 boots or even just another item component. But he is setting himself up to really get started on the hard carry for this first game.
Yeah, no, with that, I have to be so careful with the Onslaught of Shadows. It does so much damage, and especially when you have someone like Corki just being able to follow up, you cannot escape that. There's too much damage coming out. And we're actually going to see the Trinity Force coming out from Hecarim. And we haven't seen a lot of Trinity Force being built. I've seen a lot of Chemtech Petrifier as well as Divine Thunder built, but it seems like Funbari Onsen actually prefers the Trinity Force in almost every game that we've played Hecarim. But however, the Hecarim has been banned almost every game that he has played. So along with his Evelynn.
Yeah, I mean, Funbari Onsen definitely one of the key players for NAU here. Bird, by the way, landing a beautiful trade onto Ryguy up in the top lane.
That wasn't even a trade. That was just shred and I said, all right, I'm going to head out.
Just bullying.
You can back now.
Just reminding him who the real king of the top lane is.
And another thing is I've actually seen so much Corki and Victor matchups with the first strike, just battling, just the battle of the poke in the mid lane. It seems like it's a very, very strong champions right now, and champions that seem to go up against each other quite a bit, and it's always just a really even match and really fun to watch. But mostly just them just poking at each other until one gets low enough to dive.
Speaking of poking, it seems like Bird is eating some poke from Ryguy, but also disrespecting your lane opponent hard enough to proxy their wave.
As they're walking up?
Bird is really feeling himself right now, and all the more power to him, especially when he has such a huge CS lead already. But he really does have to be careful, as if Viego and Victor manage to make their way up, he could find himself on the wrong end of a play. Although it seems NAU is being really good once again, just about making sure they're not overstepping in too many places. Bird, I think, the person who's closest to doing so, but even then, he's not going to be taking too many tower shots here, if any, rather. But we might see that gank come in from Viego. Bird using that full rotation, stealing the Nasus ult. Both Nasus ults ticking now as he has to flash away. A Heartbreaker coming out from Viego. Bird still healing up, managing to possibly get away. Going to eat a Siphoning Strike after Nasus flashes. Correction, no Siphoning Strike. I do not believe it is a plus 12, as I believe I saw Nasus hit him with the back of the cane.
Yeah, no stacks for Nasus. But actually almost won the 1v2 having that Nasus ult at the ready and being able to have so much healing. It's almost actually so close. If he actually dodged that Heartbreaker there, like he was trying to do, we saw the sidestep happen, but he just hit the end of it. If he actually dodged it, he would have killed both of them for the 1v2. But now with the Everfrost active, he can most definitely take the fight.
And speaking of taking the fight, Funbari Onsen looking to get a very easy kill onto King of the Hwaji. However, the camouflage from Viego's E is going to be huge here, with her finally landing down from Nasus as he's made his way over. Net landing a rocket, getting an assist as Funbari Onsen is on a killing spree. Net cut off from his teammate and forced to deal with the Victor ultimate, but Funbari Onsen's going to get a double kill. The Triforce already putting in so much work. Might be looking for 3 here as Jackie takes half his health after a cleave and an auto attack. The Sheen from the Triforce doing so much here, and you still could potentially look for a dive here from Funbari Onsen, though, getting marked up by the Plasma and the Killer Instinct coming through. A shutdown going out onto the Victor. A massive kill for the Thunderbirds. Corum from the bot lane forced to flash as Twig looks for a solo kill in the supportal warfare category. And NAU still coming out on top, but giving away a very important kill there.
Yeah, I mean, after the fight that happened in the top lane, he's still seeing a lot of people actually stuck around in the top, and we saw just a great team fight there from by Onsen and as well as Net to be able to go in and secure. Just Bird just disrespecting the Nasus here. He doesn't even care where he is anymore. He just wants to fight him. But I mean, he saw some great fighting there, and was able to follow up, pick up a couple kills, be able to invade just a little bit there, and looks like actually going to see another fight.
Speaking of invades, it's Twig getting a root and a stun down. Heartbreaker forced out of King of the Hwaji, but it does not matter. The package has been delivered, and King of the Hwaji has been the victim of a bombing from Net. Another Zenith Blade going out, but missing, unfortunately. Net trying to get some poke, and another kill down, very nearly dying himself to those tower shots.
Yes, the package that was delivered was both Corki and also him receiving the red buff there. She's also almost saw the red buff actually end up finishing off Jackie while it was ticking very, very close. But Twig sticking around, trying to stop the back and trying to see if they can get a kill off before he does go and re-heal back up in the fountain. However, Net's
looking for a pretty juicy angle here. Has the Hex Tech rockets, couple of them, not quite that full barrage that he would like. But with the first item, Mana Moon, completed, he is going to have plenty of damage and plenty of mana to spam those spells.
Yeah, and actually it's getting pretty close to a little less than 100 stacks left, and it will be fully completed and get that huge amount of damage boost.
Speaking of damage boosts, I would like to point out that bot lane is going in. Onslaught of Shadows is going to come through, and Funbari Onsen's just going to land that devastating charge, get a little bit of tanking done, and it's a 2 for none down on the bottom side of the map, as well as First Blood Tower. Not quite before those tower plates go down, though. Still going to be a First Blood Tower, getting a juicy bit of money across the map for NAU. But either way, it is going to be quite a nice fight for them to take, as well as the fact that we are going to see a Cloud Soul across the map here. Not necessarily the most valuable soul, but it is going to be great for Hecarim, as he loves that out-of-combat movement speed. And Kama Bird not going to find himself in a favorable situation once again. He might be looking for a solo kill if he can get it off. Jackie forced to flash away from his own play, still picking up that kill, though, in a potential 1 versus 3 scenario. All Ryguy had to do was drop that Wither, and Kama Bird was a sitting duck.
Yeah, I mean, unfortunately, Kama Bird's flash is just now coming up. The flash would have secured the kill, healed him up a little bit, and the sustain would have been a little further. However, 3-man defense here coming for the top lane, looking to try to take off that Herald.
It's revenge for the Bird. Rift Herald is going to get a charge off, but Piccolo is going to go on a killing spree, and his Twig is hot on the heels of Viego, Funbari Onsen, and the Enchanted Crystal Arrow coming in from downtown. The devastating charge going to knock Viego just far enough so that arrow is not going to hit. And even then, the Viego Shroud is going to keep him safe just barely as Funbari Onsen gets caught up. King of the Hwaji going back in. Why would you do that? Funbari Onsen managing to pick up the kill anyway. The punish is just not there. The exhaust being forced out from Morgana. A shutdown number 2 going over to Victor from that Hecarim. I would like to keep in mind Victor is now a horse farmer, picking up 2 of his 3 kills from Hecarim, and 2 of them being shutdowns at that. A Solar Flare very narrowly missing from Twig. But now NAU is looking to get a little bit less aggressive. 2 shutdowns from Funbari Onsen is going to be pretty huge here. NAU still has about a 7K gold lead, which is going to be a very comfortable state to play from. But they do need to be very careful that they don't give too much more over, lest they give their opponents a fighting chance.
Yeah, I mean, Net, still 2-0. We have Piccolo still 3-0. They're still, sitting very, very comfortably here. So you said that 7,000 gold lead. They're going to be they do have 1 dragon up. They have the Dragon's Tide. Unfortunately, they have lost the Rift Heralds, but it's still pretty early in the game here, and towers are finally starting to go down. They see the mid lane turret is probably up next for to go down with just probably about 500 health or so left.
Speaking of 500 health, Net's going to be sitting well below that. A first strike full combo coming out from Victor, and a shutdown as well. The Death Ray coming up just in time to catch Net as he was on his way out. This is the power of first strike in both Victor and Corki. They have such insane burst potential when they get it off. Victor especially so now that he is 4-0 with that Ludens. But speaking of, it's going to be a very poor play coming out from Ryguy. Twig using not quite the flash, but both the ultimate and the rest of his kit to try and get that kill started on Nasus. Another Zenith Blade is going to miss here as the Enchanted Crystal Arrow is going to barely miss. Piccolo now put in a 1 versus 2 situation, trying to get a return kill. The shutdown going over onto Viego, but still Piccolo managing to get a kill onto the Kai'Sa with that lethal tempo and the flurry of arrows coming out of the Ranger's quiver. A reset off that Heartbreaker going to be used as Funbari Onsen is looking for that dive. Twig not quite able to land the finishing blow. A binding coming up from Morgana. It is a terrible situation for NAU. King of the Hawaji managing to get that kill, picking up a 300 gold as well as a reset for Heartbreaker, although it will be very temporary in the next 10 seconds, losing his possession of Leona. NAU needs to be super, super careful here as Funbari Onsen might be almost dead from the Victor. This is turning out to be a real problem child for NAU. Victor just absolutely putting down the pain.
Yeah, I mean, when Victor starts to get fed, like this, that's when he really starts to power farm and he start upgrading all of his abilities, and he's already becoming a problem. Net looking actually a little bit of
Net looking to get 2 kills for the price of none.
That was just the whole kit, and they were just dead. I was about to say he's about to get jumped on, but never mind. Net knows what he's doing, and he's just gonna shred him to pieces. Finishes off that Manamune there, and is gonna start to build that his AP item. Is just gonna be his mythic, more than likely Crown of the Shattered Queen there to help with that Victor's burst. But we're just seeing the damage output from these mid laners here is absolutely insane.
Speaking of damage, Calma Bird has plenty of it, but all it takes from Raigai is a Wither and a Ghost, and he is out of dodge. Quite literally, as he won't need to be dodging anything, given that Calma Bird is going to be, slowed down and turned into an old man at the rate he's walking. Victor, once again, just getting some really heavy poke off. NAU, I think, finally facing some of the ramifications of earlier plays as a result of getting Victor a little bit more fed than they would probably like. It looks like Victor going to be going for, I believe, the Horizon Focus second item, which will lend him even more damage in terms of just, being able to get those slows off, as he will have slows attached to all spells in his kit when he has all of his upgrades. Kai'Sa also looking to be building a little weird here.
Yeah, so it looks like they're going to go full AD Kai'Sa, and with that being said, Funbari Onsen has already picked up on this, is that actually he has a Frozen Heart under his belt. Enchanted Crystal Arrow.
Going to be an engage from NAU. The Enchanted Crystal Arrow layered on top of the Solar Flare. Calma Bird stealing the Heartbreaker, King of the Hawaji, getting his entire body broken. The dive coming out from NAU. Raigai going to be the next victim as Calma Bird picks up a double kill. Twig going to be the victim of Killer Instinct, however. A return kill at least coming through for the Thunderbirds, but NAU is still going to take a 4-for-1 trade, and it's the support dying at that. A free Baron is on the table. The only person alive for the Thunderbirds is going to be Morgana, and NAU is just shredding this Baron. Kraken Slayer Ash, Corki going and popping off, Hecarim just constantly swinging his glaive around, along with a cleanly timed smite, although maybe not entirely necessary. They are going to get a team reset, and it looks like Twig did not quite come up to receive that Baron buff, which is a little unfortunate, but he was still the recipient of the stimmy, if you will, that 300 gold coming in across the board for just killing Baron. NAU finding themselves a wonderful position, almost at 10,000 gold lead. It should be a very, very hard game to lose, but once again, because Victor is as fed as he is with that Shadow Flame, as I am corrected by his build, if Victor is going to get much more time to scale, he's actually going to be able to blow up a lot of the squishies on NAU's side, which is mostly going to be Corki and Ash for now, especially since Corki did opt for Ludens instead of Crown of the Shattered Queen. Victor already taking out Calma Bird's health pool to about half, as I was kind of talking about. Funbari Onsen also looking to play a little aggressive. The binding coming down from Morgana and some poke coming down from Kai'Sa, but Net has it in spades. The first strike taking out half of Kai'Sa's health bar.
That was one R. That was an auto to proc it, and then an R. That was so much damage going off.
Speaking of so much damage, Jackie's taking way too much for comfort here. Funbari Onsen and Calma Bird getting a dive off with the help of Twig. Twig also just bullying King of the Hawaji. Imagine losing to a support as a jungler. A really dismal state of affairs, yes, as Nasus is finally going to pick up an objective bounty halfway across the map.
Yeah, now losing to a tank support as the jungler who shreds tanks is just so disappointing. And I mean, we're going to see a first inhibitor going down. We're going to see another inhibitor turret going down. A flash coming in from a scared Morgana there. And this looks like it's going to be pretty close to towards the end of the game here, as NAU might be looking here to end.
At worst, I think NAU is looking for a team reset here, but I don't know exactly how much time Baron buff is going to have. Looking like it's about 3/4 done. And NAU does have to be careful, as they can eat a lot of poke here, even though Corki has the ability to put plenty of it down. A shutdown going on to the Corki as Morgana lands a beautiful root. Twig getting a return kill onto King of the Hwaji as he was possessing Corki, but it is going to be a possibly favored fight coming out for the Thunderbirds here. Despite their low health bars, they still have a body advantage, at least for the moment. Piccolo looking to get another auto attack onto Koram, who's going to survive with a sliver of HP underneath that black shield. First Nexus Tower is going to go down, and as 4 members of the Thunderbirds are going to heal up just a little bit from their fountain, NAU is going to be able to take down the Nexus turrets, but not the Nexus itself. They lost the fight just a little hard there after Net got caught by that Morgana binding, so they're going to use the Baron recalls while they can, and hopefully look to group as 5 and run it down mid.
Yeah, I mean, well, also the Dragon is going to be up in about 15 seconds here. Thunderbird Onsen getting the last minute just invade there, take off the red buff, and get some vision secured onto the Dragon Pit, waiting for his team to show back up here as he does heal up from all of his abilities there. But as we're going to set up for this Dragon here, looking for a nice team fight. However, Silas actually decided there's actually no teleport. Actually, Net could actually teleport with the ward or even some minions there and try to actually end the game. But we will see. We'll see what happens here. It looks like we might find one last team fight here, as Southern Utah is actually going to be backing up here as they try to fend off these super minions here, and Nasus tries to get his stacks going.
They're trying as hard as they can, but it is still a super minion wave. The only people who are going to be able to clear that effectively are those with AP damage, i.e. Kaisa and Victor. And while they can clear it, NAU is still going to have lots of pressure from across the map. They have 2 waves of supers coming in, and Net on the Corki is also going to be splitting and getting priority in the top side as well, looking for a possible back. I imagine he's going to be going for a component here. Piccolo forced to burn the cleanse. I think maybe getting caught by a Morgana binding. As we see Silas pick up the Morgana chains. He's looking for the end. The Enchanted Crystal Arrow finds Morgana. The Onslaught of Shadows following just as fast. Net's going to be the one casualty going down for NAU here as Funbari Onsen looks to get another kill underneath the tower. Kama Bird bullying King of the Hwaji under his own fountain and dancing a little bit just to show off some of the BM. NAU looking to take game 1 here in the 3-game series. And as they do, and they continue stalling so that my entire flow is messed up, Twig is going to be continuing to dance. Common Bird is still going to look for that fountain kill, and NAU is finally going to end game 1, getting themselves a nice lead and a wonderful start to the series.
Yeah, I mean, NAU was able to, keep their huge lead that they had, just pretty much for the whole game. They're able to continue it, and we're going to. And they're able to. They got pushed back a little bit with a couple lost team fights, but they were ultimately able to get the Baron, as well as they were able to continue to extend their lead until the final end of the game, about 26 minutes. But that is game 1. We'll be back for game 2 of the semifinals for the Big Sky tournament at Big Sky Conference, and we'll be right back.
Shall I turn in my badge and rifle as well?
Welcome back to Game 2 of the Big Sky Conference semifinals. It's going to be NAU versus Southern Utah University. First game being picked up from NAU. Great first match, and we're hoping to see another one. And off the bat here, we're going to be looking at those picks and bans. Southern Utah State, just picking up the bans onto the Nets, Zillion, and Safan's Hecarim and Evelyn. They did not like that Hecarim last game. Hecarim was walking all over them. And I mean, as Hecarim does, especially with something like Trinity Force being built and a Frozen Heart. However, here in the game 2, we're going to be looking at something a little bit different here, especially with the Jinx on the first pick right off the bat for Piccolo being playing that Jinx. But I mean, I'm not really sure exactly for NAU's bans here, but I'm assuming that there's just some champions that they like to play. I know that the Zeri they did ban because they do not like to play against it, and Zeri is one of the most banned champions in the tournament for good reason, with Evelyn pretty close behind, all just because of Funbari Onsen, which is pretty funny. But Zeri just being a nice, pretty safe ban just overall. And then the Karma being picked out, which can be flexed technically for top, mid, and support. Not likely top, but more than likely support. But it could be still be picked into the mid lane.
Absolutely, and it looks like Southern Utah is going to be playing a very safe bottom lane. Usually when Jinx is let through, because she's still so strong even after slight nerfs. Jinx just does so much later on in the game, as AD carries usually tend to, but even then, like, just letting Jinx through is such a interesting decision. Granted, Piccolo is not a primary role AD carry player. As far as I know, they are more of a support player. But still, Jinx is a very, very strong pick, and picking something safe like Karma and Ezreal is going to be kind of interesting, because even though Ezreal is going to be one of the safest AD carries you can pick, especially when you pick something like Nautilus on the opposing team, if Jinx not gets ahead on Ezreal Karma, like, they're still going to be able to trample the game in a very similar fashion to how Hecarim was last game. And even then, it's such a strong bot lane combination right now that I'm really concerned for the Thunderbirds that, if they're not playing essentially to the utmost safest within reason, and, obviously outside of sitting underneath their tower the entire game and trying to farm, from 3 miles away, they still do have to approach the waves, and, it's not going to take a lot for Nautilus to have an in. If he has a flash auto attack, flash Q, just and a generic angle for Q, I imagine Twig will also be taking Hex Flash, so he will have that mobility tool on a much shorter cooldown than regular Flash, which is going to be about once every 5 minutes. A little less than that if you build Lucidity Boots or take Cosmic Insight. But either way, as we get through the second round of bans, it is going to be quite a lot of target banning coming out from both sides. Nasus coming out from NAU alongside that Victor. Meanwhile, we do have the Thunderbirds banning out Set and Corki. A lot of picks from last game taken out, and although we already have 3 out of 5 champs picked for both teams, we actually have no overlapping champions this time around thus far, shortening that list even further with those second round bans. Red 4 is going to be going over to Thunderbirds, though, and I imagine they will be saving counterpick for top lane here, so they're going to be blinding the Veigar mid. Going to be a pretty safe pick. Looks like they actually have I almost want to say an overly cautious comp so far. They scale really well. They have Xin for some early game power, but even then, Ezreal Karma does not look to engage on Jinx Nautilus by any means. And Veigar is one of those infinite scaling champions, as we see that Scion Hover coming out from Piccolo. Also done in by the Xerath, which is going to be interesting. I imagine that's going to be Xerath mid, because Nautilus usually doesn't get flexed anywhere, and Xerath's next role after mid is going to be support.
Yeah, and then, another thing I have to mention too is that, so we have the Shyvana being picked for NAU here. I have never seen Funbari Onsen play Shyvana. It's going to be another interesting the champion for I'm going to see him to play. I hasn't actually played it in the tournament yet, so it's one of those champions that are just kind of going to throw the enemy team for a loop here if they haven't paying attention to what he has been playing. And Tryndamere for the top lane here, another interesting champion. I have never seen Kama Bird play as well, and I've never actually seen Net actually play Xerath here. So a lot of interesting picks coming from NAU here that I personally have never seen them play, and I'm excited to see how well it's going to go here. But I mean, just off the bat, obviously, like you were saying before, Utah is actually playing a very, very safe comp here, especially in their bot lane, and having an Ornn just for the scaling factors. They have a huge scaling comp right now with the Veigar and the Ornn, being able to try to just get to that late game, whereas I would say NAU has somewhat of a more early to mid game kind of comp there, being able to play very aggressive early game and try to get picks early as possible. And so, I mean, they're going to be looking here to try to end the game very, very quickly. And we have seen a pre-20-minute game twice now from NAU. And so hope it'd be cool if we could see that again.
Yeah, I'm sure it was an interesting sight to see, as that was not one that I was privy to. But either way, it is going to be an interesting set of compositions from both sides. I once again, I really have to. I cannot overstate my concern for the Thunderbirds here. They have devoted themselves to such a late game scaling comp. Ornn, Vhagar, Ezreal. That it's one of those things, right, where if they get to that 30-minute timer, their chances of winning the game skyrocket easily. The problem is that they have to get to 30 minutes and not be completely, down 10K gold like they were last game.
Yeah, and we're seeing NAU, especially recently, has been in the tournament at least, have been getting 10,000 gold at about 20 minutes, 25 minutes consistently ahead for a lot of their games. And so with Utah being able to play so defensively and so safe, it's they're really just hoping here to just play against this. Trying to bring it to at least 30 minutes, so you have that Ornn, get up to that level 14, upgrade, Vhagar or Ezreal's item. Xin Zhao being one of those early game champions as well is going to help them out with the early game a bit, and he's going to fall off just a little bit towards the end of the game, but still going to be pretty relevant, just a nice front line for them. But Ornn and Vhagar just being those champions that scale so hard, especially with Vhagar infinitely scaling. He just wants to farm for a little while, kind of like Nasus, but more so relevant earlier. Especially with his with the cage and the amount of damage he just does regardless. Especially since he builds that AP, he already has AP off the bat. But NAU here, especially with their such aggressive comp here, they're really going to be looking to end this game as quickly as possible.
Absolutely, and I think they have a lot of the tools that they need to do it. You have a very aggressive bot lane with Jinx Nautilus. And even then, I would say that Net is actually going to be some of that late game insurance. I imagine he'll be taking first strike on Xerath. If he doesn't, it'll obviously be something like Comet, or maybe even Dark Harvest. I sincerely doubt that one, but even then, First Strike should be the rune of choice here for the NAU mid laner. And even then, they also have Kama Bird on the Tryndamere, going to be a super, super strong split push pick. The only person who might be able to have a chance of standing up to him in a side lane is probably going to be Vhagar, and even then, it's not like another duelist. Even then, Xin Zhao, I think, would lose to Tryndamere pretty hard in a 1-versus-1 unless he's super, super ahead on the Tryndamere. But I think NAU has a very interesting comp to look at on paper. It's not quite a 5v5 comp like you might think, much less one that the Thunderbirds have. But even then, I think they have a very strong comp, and I think they know what they want to do with it, especially when you have engages coming out of things like Shyvana and Nautilus. It's going to be a really easy start to your team fight, although they do have less go buttons, I would say, than the Thunderbirds. Ornn going to be able to use that Call of the Forge God, and Xin going to be able to get some nice, easy crowd control going off alongside Vhagar's Baby Cage. Is going to be pretty strong here, so, I think team fights could be kind of going either way, but I think NAU is going to want to start team fights ahead, which means they're going to want to start with a pick, and then they'll take the fight on their terms. But as we saw in last game, they took tons of fights on their terms. Fights weren't really taken unless it was on their terms, except for a few exceptions. So I'm really not too worried about going into game 2 for them. It's just, again, with the scaling comp that Southern Utah has, it is going to be a great scaling comp. There's no doubt about that. They hit 30 minutes, their chance of winning the game goes up, I would say, by easily 10 to 15%, if not more, just because of what they have drafted. But if they don't get there, then they don't get there. And even if they do make it to 30 minutes, if they're down 10, 12,000 gold, how much is it really going to matter?
Yeah, and as we load into here, we're going to look at those picks, those summoner spells, the items, and just anything that pops out of ordinary for us, and as well as those summoner spells. And we're going to be looking at something interesting here. Not the first time this has happened, though.
Probably just a little bit of lag on the spectator client's end. We'll get through it here in just a quick second. There we go.
If champions show up, there we go. And another thing I'd like to mention too is Tryndamere is one of those. I feel like it's one of those champions that kind of stays kind of even for most of the game is but especially when you build the crit on him, being able to run in, pop the ultimate, and just be unkillable for temporarily and be able to shred someone down, especially when you have something like lethal tempo active. It's he can really shred people down very quickly. So Tryndamere is just one of those champions that's good all around throughout the game and is usually pretty relevant as long as he's even or ahead. And so it's a nice good champion to start out with. However, an invade coming from NAU here. I don't know if they're going
to be cheeky here, getting the ward down onto the Tribush Nautilus, actually landing that hook and rooting Ornn, but Ornn was able to not necessarily predict the invade, but he was smart enough to not pick any abilities, so he actually got the chance to use his dash instead of the flash, securing his life, if not his level 1, and it is going to mean Tryndamere has a better advantage early, at least in the first 2 minutes before solo lanes hit level 2. But even then, a very smooth play from Ryguy being able to get away from that invade.
Yeah, I know having that searing charge is just being able to pick it up is just so vital there. And fortunately, Twig did not have to flash for it, so nothing really came out of it other than just Common Bird just now being able to play a little more aggressive than he than maybe before. But like you said, it's only going to be pretty temporary.
And it's really not too much to worry about. We are also going to see some pretty standard starts from the junglers. Both of them actually starting on blue side. Could be a potential split of the map for some vertical jungling. But given that Shyvana is going to be a little bit more farm heavy in the early stages of the game, I don't see that really coming to fruition, as I'm sure both junglers are just going to kind of look to get decent clears, and if anything, Xin Zhao will be looking for earlier ganks.
Another thing I have to mention too is that Jackie actually picked up that Predator on the Veigar. Predator picking up some movement recently, be able to just chase people down. And when you are late game Veigar, being able to chase someone down is so strong, because when you have your ultimate and you just press R and they're just deleted, it's makes you very, very strong. Especially when someone's trying to run away from you, having that ability to have some sort of movement speed is really nice.
Absolutely. We've also got plenty of pings across the map here. Net potentially being caught out, as it looked like King of the Huaji was going for an invade onto Shyvana. But now the bot lane has made their appearance known, and Xerath is going to get a perfectly placed W, managing to force Xin Zhao's flash as well as getting Nautilus's out of the way. However, Nautilus taking that Hex Flash like I was talking about earlier, it's really not going to be such a huge loss for him as it is on Xin Zhao, especially because Xin Zhao can make use of Flash to get some really cheeky gank angles off.
Well, and especially when you have something like Dredgeline on Nautilus, you don't, as long as a wall is nearby or a minion, you're able to just kind of like bring yourself to them anyway. So the flash is really not that big of a deal at all. And Twig is more than happy to trade flashes with their jungler, making those ganks even harder to pull off.
And there goes the Dredgeline once again. Ezreal managing to Arcane Shift as well as getting shielded up by Karma. Yep. It is actually going to take a bit of a toll on Twig's mana bar, so that is something NAU has to be pretty careful of. As well as Veigar looking to get those roams.
Yeah, and another thing to mention too is you see how Ezreal is now sitting behind Karma. Ezreal's Arcane Shift sits about a 20-25 second cooldown at level 1. Is such a detriment to be able to use it that he has to play so safe until it comes back up. He has to be very careful, especially when you're playing against someone like Nautilus, who's really just controls the lane, how the lane works, what's going to happen in it, because the Dredgeline is such one of those most dangerous abilities in the game. But obviously Net's just doing Xerath things, and he's just going to be poking Jackie out as much as possible, keeping his distance, not letting the Veigar run up on him. But that's where the when he does get those boosts, that's where the Predator is going to come in to be able to close that gap.
Funbari Onsen taking an interesting duel to start off here with Xin Zhao getting a good bit of damage and popping the Ghost. Xin Zhao does not have the flash, and First Blood goes over to Net. A wonderful Arcano Pulse being landed in for that follow-up. Doesn't take much more than that to get that kill, especially with the first strike damage bonus. The Thunderbird bot lane making their way over. Sheath Azakana having to shield and run away from Twig, dropping the Ignite there. Looking to play a little bit more aggressive. Kama Bird also playing pretty aggressive here, looking to get a rather feisty trade off onto Ornn, but not really coming out on top. Still going even, though, because he has that massive Fury bar and is able to just kind of be like, okay, well, I lost the trade, that's whatever. Now I just get to press Q and heal all my health. Net looking for a potential solo kill, flashing over the red buff, doing its damage. Net picking up a wonderful kill onto Jackie. 2-0 for NAU and 2-0 for Net. He is stacked right now. He has got 1,800 gold, and he is going to be balling on that reset.
And then the lethal tempo is starting to charge up for Kama Bird. It's where 50 Rye guy needs to be so careful to not take the trades that are going to last too long. I guess against a Tryndamere who is going to have that lethal tempo. And as soon as that thing starts building up, he's going to be so hard to kill, and he's going to be so deadly. And so that's why he's just taking quick little trades, using his abilities, and immediately walking out. And is actually going to take the back, allow Kama Bird to actually clear off a wave and possibly back for himself, as it does force a TP from 50 Rye guy there.
Absolutely, that's the reward you get when you're able to take trades like that. Kama Bird also does not have the TP, so being able to get it out of Ryguy is going to be a very important part of the laning phase here, making sure that Ornn is not able to teleport to any other towers for his team to help maybe with something like counter ganks or any other cross-map plays. Twig also looking for a very nice roam. However, Veigar with the baby cage is able to just kind of put it around himself and be like, yeah, okay, throw the hook. I dare you.
Yeah, no, that's the thing. Veigar's at any point of the stage is very, very dangerous. In team fights or even just solo, he's a champion that is a very, very safe laner, I would say, and is also very, very hard to gank.
Net's also finding himself in a little bit of trouble here, trying to wait out the baby cage, but it does not happen. The delayed hitbox on the baby cage disappearing, being the end of Net. A shutdown going over to the Thunderbirds, going over onto the mid laner, no less, and trying to even out some of that score.
Yeah, actually, the level 6 was hit, and Jackie actually used the ultimate there to clean up the kill and get that bounty shut down, as well as the back and get that last chapter going, and start to even up the damage threshold that Net is going to be putting out.
Absolutely. Lost Chapter is going to be that super, super key item for a lot of AP mid laners, just because it gives you that mana boost on level. And, even though Veigar and Xerath are both very excellent takers for Tear of the Goddess, speaking of takers, it's going to be King of the Hwaji trying to take his own blue buff, but getting pushed up upon by NAU. Fumbari Onsen using the ultimate and landing a nice kill with the help of Twig. Piccolo, however, stuck in the bottom lane, still has Flash available and is able to get out. Not quite an auto attack from Zai. Able to do the deed as Ezreal Karma, despite how safe it can also have some pretty aggressive tactics, as Karma does have slows, roots, and the movement speed steroid from her shield.
Piccolo actually almost got out of there. It was actually very, very close. The flash was used, but actually Ezreal arcane shifted and flashed, as well as Sheetha Akazana actually flashed as well. So he actually had 3 flashes in the bot lane there to kill Piccolo and to get her out of the lane so they could actually back for themselves and actually pick up a Sheen and a Caulfields there for Ezreal start to get his damage threshold going down.
The thing to make note of there is, even with that kill, that actually only breaks Ezreal even because of the CS difference that Piccolo has right now. King of the Hwaji also looking for the invade here. Funbari Onsen does not have the transformation for Dragon Form yet. Tryndamere also trying to chase down Xin Zhao, very successfully doing so. A double kill going over to NAU. One for Tryndamere, one for Shyvana. Mark it down. They're making bank, and they are now 3,000 gold ahead.
3,000 gold here at 9 minutes is just absolutely massive. Having the CS lead as well as the kill leads just really stacks up, and that's why NAU's just been winning their games so early and so quickly. They're just being able to have such a high CS lead over the enemy. Shyvana 69 to 33 on the Xin Zhao. It's not looking super great, especially for this for the jungle here with 0-3 Xin Zhao and Funbari Onsen now 2-0-2, and getting that probably the Blade of the Ruined King here start to be able to be finished here pretty soon.
Dredge Line from Nautilus is going to fall a little short, and Arcano Pulse doesn't quite find its target. NAU has to be careful here, as Shyvana is actually going to be stealing more of Xin Zhao's camps. 76 to 33 now in CS. Let's check those gold scores for a minute. Almost double Xin Zhao's gold, about 500-600 off. But Funbari Onsen is absolutely rolling in the dough. Meanwhile, King of the Hwaji is forced to rely on EBT and whatever scraps he can get.
Yeah, another thing to mention too is we actually have Warden's Mill being one of the first components that Ornn does actually finish here. It's either going to be that Randuin's or it's going to be that Frozen Heart there. And then we see that Bambi Cinder coming up. We're actually going to be the it's going to be the Frozen Heart, I believe, and help with this just against fighting someone like the Tryndamere here, and make it that much harder for him to actually pick up the kills, as well as Jinx is going to be having a hard time, as well as Shyvana building AD here. It's just having that Frozen Heart is going to be very, very strong, and make him just that much harder to kill.
Yeah, I mean, Tryndamere is not going to be doing a ton of damage right now. He does have the AD available from his passive. As the lower he gets, the more AD he receives. But he also only has Berserker's Greaves, right? So even if he's critting with the I believe 35% chance that Tryndamere gets by default through his passive, he's really just kind of hitting Ornn with a wet noodle, at least for the time being. It is still 127, 128 damage per crit, and he does have the spinning slash available, but ultimately the lethal tempo is only going to do so much here. Common Bird really needs to go and spend some of the 2,200 gold he has, and then I'm sure he'll really start laying down some of the pain on Ornn.
At this point, he's still pushing the wave, so at this point, it looks like he just wants to just straight up buy an item before he does leave. But very, very close net, very, very close call. Having the flash available actually saved his life there. The cage all around him, he's able to go right into that red pit there, and was able to walk away pretty safely without any damage really taken. However, possible fight breaking out over this dragon here. It's going to be the second dragon of the game. It's going to be that Ocean Drake, and after this dragon, we will be able to see what the soul point or what the soul is going to be for the match. And it looks like just NAU's going to pretty much be able to pick it up for free here. And Jackie just getting a quick little vision. He's just going to walk on by and sit in the bush, wait for maybe anyone to possibly walk up.
Common Bird getting disrespected there by Ryguy. Just canceling that back, a quick little bonk on the head. Tells you don't leave yet. I'm not done with you.
Yeah, it looks like actually Common Bird's actually going to take the Gromp here and pause. This might give him enough gold here to actually finish off a full item, or pretty close to it at least. At least the majority of an item here. But
a lot of pings going down on the map from red team. Net actually going to steal the blue buff away with the help of Funbari Onsen. The Mega Death Rocket coming out from Jinx, and Twig actually going to get the last hit on a Jackie. Funbari Onsen is going to be put under a little too much pressure, forced to run away from 3 members of the Thunderbirds. But it's an attack from 2 sides now, as NAU is able to lay down as much pain as they can. Net picking up another kill on the King of the Hwaji, duking out in the top lane as well. Common Bird still not backed, has a full rage bar though, and is just going to spin away, look for his back, and maybe actually say hello to some of his teammates as those back timers are going to coordinate.
Looks like he's not backing yet. He's still just like, there's no ganks coming up. I'm sustaining. I might as well just keep farming, I guess. But actually, where did he pick up a kill? Oh,
I believe that was from the earlier river skirmish, but Piccolo's going to have to be really careful here. Sheathed Azakana putting a little too much pressure, and honestly a little bit of trolling down on Piccolo, canceling their back multiple times. While it is going to suck, should have shown Piccolo to back off a little bit earlier instead of sticking around. Common Bird and Ryguy still just kind of duking it out in the top lane. Common Bird, a comfortable CS lead, as well as contributing to that overall gold lead that NAU is holding, 24.5K to almost 19K. It is going to be about 5,000. We're already halfway to that 10K mark. Funbari Onsen is 2-0-3 with a 350 gold bounty. Has 6,000 gold value on the champion, as opposed to King of the Hwaji's 3.5K. It is, again, almost double. And Common Bird actually finally backing, getting that Kraken Slayer full item. Meanwhile, some action breaking out in the mid lane. Piccolo having the Gale Force away from King of the Hwaji, getting the zap off, as well as the Mega Death Rocket. Crescent Guard, though, from King of the Hwaji, going to prevent too much more damage. Funbari Onsen hopping over the wall, saying, hello, I got some Dragon Breath for you. and forcing a flash out of the Xin Zhao. If only to take more resources away from the Utah jungler. Regai is going to make himself known. Call of the Forge God is available, but no mana to use it.
Yeah, interesting roam down, especially when you have no mana. Very, very risky here, and especially since Calma Bird now backed and now has that true damage built into that item there, and he's actually going to force the flash.
It's a 3-man. Regai actually getting a return kill on the Twig NAU, I think incorrectly juggling that tower aggro. Twig stepping up just a little too far and paying the price. However, it is going to be another kill going over to NAU, especially after forcing the flash off of Regai, as well as tower going over to Calma Bird, and I believe Xerath in the bottom lane. Xerath actually picking up First Blood turret over that Tryndamere. I guess we know who the better split pusher is.
Yeah, right. So I mean, to be fair, Xerath, and they sit in the mid lane, is going to have does have a bit more damage off, especially with that 4 stacks on the Dark Seal, and is now getting pretty close to already finishing up that Mythic, as well as having almost a fully stacked tier, or at least about 100 off, about 130 off or so. And so it's getting pretty close to getting those nice damage spikes that Xerath loves so much. However,
Twig, depth charge being used on the Zai, the root following up, and the first strike from Xerath. The dunks are coming through, but Piccolo's got the shot from downtown. Super Mega Death Rocket picking up Piccolo's first kill of the game, as well as Ezreal's first death.
Yeah, it's actually interesting. 3 ultimates were actually used there to pick up Ezreal there. But I mean, with this champion so slippery, you need as much damage and that you can as quickly as possible, and especially as much as CCs, especially someone like Twig on the Nautilus is is really what you need. However,
Calma Bird playing pretty aggressive. Ghost is popped. Undying Rage is going through. This man is too angry to die. Calma Bird flashing and spinning out. Call of the Forge God did get used by Ornn, but not quite soon enough.
Especially when you don't even have the TP available on Ornn there, and that's really what the what Tryndamere does is, oh hey, you're gonna go under tower, but I know I can kill you because I got lethal tempo, so I'm just gonna keep following up, and I'll get out on my own terms. But I mean, killing him right before that Call of the Forge God was actually necessary. However, True Shot Barrage looking for some there's some vision onto the Dragon Pit there. Not quite able to steal it, but they do know that the Dragon is for sure started and getting pretty low.
Yeah, it's going to be an easy take for Shyvana there. She does have the extra damage to dragons and actually gets bonuses for each dragon she takes. NAU already on Soul Point, 18 minutes into the game. I think we might be at risk of seeing the 30-minute prophecy come true. However, despite the timer potentially being reached, NAU has a 10,000 gold lead at 18 minutes. Looking for more. Sheathed Azakana put out a little bit of pressure from Piccolo. Gale Force is used. And so too is the Mega Death Rocket. Piccolo actually going to be the first one to die in this engagement. Jackie following shortly thereafter to the Ray Allen dunks from net. A double kill going over to the Utah jungler. However, Funbari Onsen is still in the middle of the fight. A double kill for Xerath from way across the map. Funbari Onsen looking to get another kill, picking it up onto Ezreal as Xerath is following through underneath the tower, taking a couple tower shots, forced to flash out as Karma has some fancy footwork assisted by her own flash, and he's still coming out on top. Still a 10,000 gold lead, almost 11,000 at this point. The biggest fight we've seen out of game 2 thus far, and even though NAU didn't play it perfectly, they still come out on top. They just are smacking down Utah with their wallets.
Yeah, no, with just the amount of lead that you have, you can really play so aggressive and just win these fights so hard. Especially when you Shyvana 4-0, you have Medjai Soulstealer now being completed on the net with 13 stacks, and you have your Tryndamere now starting to build that crit. 2-0. There's just so much damage coming out from NAU, and not really a whole lot to answer for it on Utah's side. But I mean, Calma Bird just. Now he's able to just kind of walk around. He's already taken the tower. He's pushed in his lane. He's really just trying to get the kill onto Ornn, but it's just so hard, especially when you have the Sunfire Aegis actually complete.
Action breaking out in the red side of southern Utah. A catch for sure onto Twig, they thought, but no, said Piccolo. Rockets and bullets coming down onto Veigar. Funbari Onsen going unstoppable, getting a nice chop. Calma Bird once again too angry to die, going on a killing spree. actually getting shut down there. Not quite out of the tower aggro. Maybe just giving a pity kill over to Ryguy. That's how I'm going to want to call this one. It is once again going to be a similar Baron situation to last game, except this time around it is Twig who will receive the Baron buff and Kama Bird who will be on the shorter end of the stick. However, it is going to be a well-deserved short end of the stick after that tower dive and subsequent death.
Yeah, actually, in a very quick play, it's going to be completed right as the Baron here is going to be finished. And
Arcano Pulse is hitting a little hard there. Zai taking way too much damage, and Net landing the dunks, going on a rampage. Ezreal's 1-3. He's not having a very good game.
Well,
Net taking a red buff for himself, interestingly enough, although we have seen him use it to pretty great effect thus far.
Well, when you almost get one shot by a single ability from the mid laner, that's you're definitely not going to be having a fun game. Especially when you're the ADC. But I mean, finishing out, you have one item under your belt and almost about 1.5, but it's
Lumberjax playing a little aggressive up. Twig actually getting caught out by 3 members of Southern Utah. Still, they have to spend quite a lot to actually take him out here. Funbari Onsen may be the next person to get caught out. Ezreal getting quite a bit of poke, and Baby Cage barely falling short there as Shyvana manages to reconvene with their team. Piccolo also sitting on 1.5 items, potentially more, as damage is just coming out in spades from NAU. Kama Bird also just playing Farming Simulator. 200 farm down in the bottom lane now, finally recognizing that there are in fact other places of the map than top lane, but still seeing about the only person he'd expect to, which is going to be Ryguy.
I mean, Ryguy's really the only one that can really answer to him, except for maybe Jackie with the range, but with Kama Bird and 3-in-1 having 2 items and so much crit that he can really run at whoever he wants, and 50 Ryguy only one that can really sustain against all of it with the amount of armor that he's already built. But
I'd also like to point out, by the way, just a funny little bit. I would like to point out that Funbari Onsen has blue buff here. Net still has red buff. And it looked like Net was actually coming to take blue from Funbari Onsen. And this is actually the second time that Shyvana has gotten blue over Xerath. The other time actually being where Twig is standing right now, just a few minutes ago. But even then, Net is just having no love getting some blue buff this game.
Yeah, I know with being an AP champion, you really want that blue buff. However, 50 Ryguy having to be careful here.
Kama Bird popping that ghost. Soul also being claimed for NAU. A perfect 4-0 on those dragons. And now at this point, I'm pretty sure they're just looking to roll down as 5 and probably end the game, or at least get pretty damn close to it.
Yeah, it looks like we could have just one more fight if they end up getting
Fights
an
are
ace
breaking
here.
out. Piccolo taking that first kill on Zai. Net trying to throw down from way across the map. Funbari Onsen getting potentially caught out, however, diving across the wall, dragging Zins out toward Net, where Net is unstoppable. The stun from Net falling a little short as Veigar burns the flash, and Ryguy trying to tank way too many members of NAU. Jinx is getting excited, and so am I! Funbari Onsen dominating now as Azakana is forced underneath into their fountain. Piccolo still looking for plenty of kills and damage. Net actually taking the ace. Mid lane inhibitor is going to go down here, and there's no reason NAU doesn't end the game here, other than just maybe BMing a little too hard at fountain. Net putting down way too much damage from what should be possible into the fountain. The regen almost unable to keep up as Nexus Tower number 1 is going to fall. Dredge line from Twig is going to land, and Zai is actually going to bait Xerath into the tower. Nexus is now open, and Jinx has get excited from that last tower destruction. Net still looking at his respawn timers. Funbari Onsen is going to be going in once again. The Crescent Guard going to actually force Funbari Onsen to tank Fountain for just a brief second. However, as shutdown goes through onto the Shyvana, it is still 3 members of NAU up with an excited Jinx for the potential to get even crazier. Nexus down to about half health as NAU just refuses to end the game. Piccolo finally sending some rockets over, as Twig has to drop the depth charge for some peel. NAU really just playing with their food at this point. A near 20,000 gold lead held by them, 23-9 in kills. Funbari Onsen and Net really just making a donation to charity at this point.
Yeah, no, those. It was really just they could have ended, there very very quickly. However, they wanted some more kills. They're trying to boost the stats before the finals, before the championships. But this game, very safe to say, is over. I mean, they could simply just send Tryndamere up there with his ultimate and just end the game. It's they could really just end at any point. Looks like they're just gonna get in some last farm, finish off some items, maybe. There's not really a whole lot really to do. Baron does come up in about a minute, but there's no need for it. And Thunderbirds here are really just going to be hovering around their base and just trying to stop anyone, to try to that tries to come up and finish the game off. But there's not really a whole lot that Thunderbirds really can even do. They can't really take the team fight, especially with being down almost 20,000 gold. Orange's going to be upgrading that first item of the match, and it's actually going to be the Gore Drinker, interestingly enough. But I mean, when you're the most of the kills are actually going to be onto someone like Xin Zhao, it still makes sense to. Looks like we're not.
Shyvana's going in for the dive. Mega Death Rocket coming out from Jinx isn't going to find a whole lot of damage, but the damage is going to start as soon as Net gets there, taking that first kill onto Zai. Call of the Forge God is going down. It gets 2 knockups. Healing is there for King Lahuaji. However, it's not going to be enough as Net picks himself a double kill. Funbari Onsen grabbing another one. Net taking 3 and Kama Bird taking the Nexus. I'm pretty sure this man hadn't seen much of his team the entire game and is ready to go get some sleep.
I actually didn't even realize that Kama Bird was actually hitting the Nexus while the team fight was happening. I didn't even notice that he wasn't even there. But I mean, NAU just keeping their lead and being able to keep it the entire game and bring out get up to their biggest lead yet, 20,000 gold as they end the game here, 2-0 for the semifinals, bringing them into the championships against Sacramento State. And NAU thus far in the Big Sky Conference has not lost a single round. They have won every single game, no rounds lost, and if they win the next game 2-0 in the championship, they will go through the whole thing without a single round loss. A perfect win rate throughout the whole season.
Seems like they've been taking some notes out of SKTT1's book for this one, and they really aim to make that dream come true. But with another 2-0 victory, they will be advancing on to grand finals where they hope to take it all home, and it'll be an exciting cast. Once again, my name has been Ian Cyrus Klepsone, and I've been joined by my good friend Jerry. And we've had such a pleasure casting for you.
Yeah, and we'd like to wish you guys a good night, and thank you guys for coming and watching us, and we'll be back next weekend for the championships, so stay tuned for that. It should be on Saturday instead of Sunday with a little bit of a schedule change, but fun game nonetheless, and we are excited to cast it.
Absolutely. We hope to see you all again soon. Until then, stay safe, and we hope to see you again, and make sure to